Hey, what's up? How's it going? So I want to share some thoughts on the topic of energy preservation, also known as semen retention. Obviously, this is a topic that's specifically just for men. Um, of course, I haven't really made a video talking about this in a long time, at least just, from just giving my raw thoughts on this topic. So I think it's just about time, and especially since I've gained a lot of new subscribers as of late. Um, anyways, I'll get right to it. This is a very, very important topic, especially in this modern day of age, and I am very, very grateful to have learned about semen retention because it's really made a significant difference in my life ever since I learned about this information. Ever since I really learned about this information for the first time, which is back in the year 2022, is when I really started learning about semen retention and how powerful and important and beneficial this practice is. And yeah, like ever since 2022, like my life has just not been the same. I mentioned before in a previous video that it's like, like I legitimately went through a spiritual awakening where things really just kind of shifted in my life ever since I learned about this. Um, yeah, first things first, more energy, as you would normally hear as far as it goes with this topic, more energy. I've definitely noticed that from my own experience, not just from what I've heard from other people and what I've read, but like from my own experience, more energy is so true. The periods of time where I retained for longer periods, definitely more energy, more clarity of mind, more confidence, more peace, more bliss, just positive. I'm telling you, positive thing after positive thing after positive thing. A list of almost just numerous positive benefits. Currently I'm on day 7 of energy preservation, of semen retention. So I'm feeling the benefits, like as of this moment right now, as I'm recording this video, like I am feeling the benefits of retention, at least to a certain extent. Because I feel like once you get to about a week of retention, that's when you start really feeling the benefits. So I'm feeling the benefits right now, and like I can attest to this as based off of how I'm feeling right now. Clarity of mind, energy, confidence, peace, having the Holy Spirit with you, just, it just improves your life. It just improves your life. And I've used the analogy that in a previous video I've talked about how, a vehicle, for example, a car, if it's not like an electric vehicle, just, a regular car, it requires oil, right? It needs to have its oil change. It's got to have a good amount of oil, right? It's the same concept with semen retention as for us men, right? That's our oil. That is the primary oil for our bodies in order for us men to function correctly, right? Is retaining that seminal fluid, that oil within us, because that's what causes our brain to function well and properly. Just because of that, I have a hard time explaining the science of it, but it's just like the fluid. It's the fluid of life, right? So when you drain that out of you, when you eject that out of you, it's you have less brain function. It's like slower brain function, right? And you're slower all in all in general. But when you're retaining that, and when you're retaining that for a good period of time, it's quicker, it's more efficient, right? So you're able to process things quicker in your mind. You have more lubrication for your joints and just everything in general in your body. Everything in your body in general runs better, runs well when you're retaining that fluid within you, you know? And I've used that analogy before in a previous video as something I've learned to be true. So it's very comparable to like oil in a car. You know, if your car recently just got its oil changed, it's all filled up to the brim with oil, you know, that's like semen retention. You know, that's like when you've been retaining for a good period of time. You know, like it functions really well, the engine runs really well, you know, and it can just, you know, go really fast and just runs nice and smooth. You know, same thing for your body as a man. If you're retaining that seminal fluid within you, then like same concept as a car. You know, if it got its oil changed recently, you know, your body's gonna run really well, your mind is gonna run really well, you know, you're gonna be able to process things more quickly, you're gonna be able to handle difficult situations more easily. Everything you'll do better with, right? And you'll just be happier, you'll be more peaceful, you know? That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned about semen retention, guys. It's really powerful, you know? And the elites, you know, they're trying to suppress the truth and the science of semen retention to control people, to make us weak, to make us men weak, to suppress masculinity. You know, that's why you don't find like articles online or like, you know, verified scientific articles from doctors or whatever about semen retention and its benefits. At least you don't find that hardly at all today, because they're trying to suppress this information. They're trying to keep this truth from us because they're trying to make us weak, you know. But if you look into the more older scientific studies, like, and I'm talking about from like the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, or like ancient times, that's when they actually told the truth, at least in some cases. The truth was told at least like more often back then, especially I would say like the further back in time you go, the more they were truthful about this. So that's why you'll find most of the information of the truth of semen retention and how beneficial it is from like ancient times, or even from like back in the 50s, either like thousands of years ago, or even as far back as just like the 50s or the 60s. So I would just recommend like doing some research on it. The YouTube channel called Teachings of the Wise has done a lot of really good videos about semen retention, diving into like these really old books that certain people wrote about this topic. That's something I would highly recommend. Look up the YouTube channel Teachings of the Wise. They get into a lot of the older or ancient teachings about this topic. The non-suppressed information, the true information. Another YouTube channel I recommend is the Ancient Archives. That's another really good semen retention channel. Yeah. So semen retention is an absolute game changer. It is an absolute game changer. It'll absolutely change your life for the better as long as you practice it. You know, it's one thing to know about the information. It's one thing to know about this, and that's another thing to actually put into practice and to do well with practicing it. You know, you have to really learn to overcome lust. You have to learn to transmute your sexual energy, which I've made videos about that. And also a disclaimer, guys, I am no master at semen retention. I have not mastered this practice. I've struggled even as of late, right? Especially if you're in a committed relationship. I'm in a committed marriage relationship with a woman, so you know, like, obviously it's not easy for someone like myself to practice this, but it's absolutely possible. You know, whether you're single or in a relationship, married, whatever, like you can absolutely practice this, you know. I practiced retention for about a month, you know, month-long streaks a few times before, or like a little over 20 days. So I have some experience, but just, you know, not as much experience compared to other people. You know, of course, obviously there's other people that have gone much longer streaks than me, but I'm just, you know, I'm just talking about this topic because I feel like I have just enough experience practicing this to where it's justifiable. It warrants me talking about it. But anyways, I'm just going off on a tangent at this point. I hope y'all got something good out of this video. Hope you learned something new. And I just highly recommend y'all do more research on this topic, learn more about this topic, and practice it, experience it for yourself, because that's the best type of learning you can do, is by practicing semen retention yourself and experiencing the benefits. And yeah, that's all I gotta say, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all in the next video.